everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bastard Review. This time around I'm going back a couple years to ECW's November to Remember 95. This event took place November 18th, 1995 in the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We start off the night with what is supposed to be the Broad Street Bully and Donnie Allen facing off, but special ring announcer Bubba Ray Dudley instead lays them both out. It's kind of an odd way to start the show. I don't see why they chose to go this route, but moving on. In my opinion, the next segment is what should have opened the match. Paul Heyman is in the ring and he asks to dim the lights go down, and when they come back up, Sabu is standing in the ring. Now the story here and why this is so important is back in the spring, Paul Heyman fired Sabu because he no-showed an event. A few days prior, Sabu had been in Japan for a few shows, and he supposedly promised Paul Heyman that he would get back in time for the ECW show, and he didn't. So Paul had no choice but to fire him. I guess between then and now, some bridges had been mended, and the fans wanted Sabu back, obviously, so Paul gave the fans what they wanted. And here was the return of Sabu. I really think this should have opened up the show. It would have been a lot better. But moving on, our first real match of the night is Jason taking on Konnan, with Taz as the special guest referee. At the time, Konnan was with AAA Wrestling down in Mexico, and he was talking to Paul Heyman about bringing a bunch of luchadors up to showcase them on ECW. This wasn't even a match. It was 10 seconds, if that, and it was more about Taz and Jason and whatever feud they had going on at the time than it was about showcasing Konnan's talent. I'm not going to grade it because there's really nothing to judge. Up next we have Stevie Richards taking on El Puerto Riqueño. Fans of the BWO will be interested to know that this is where the Blue Meanie premieres, giving Stevie a Flock of Seagulls half shirt. The match is alright, there's really nothing innovative going on here. I think the match was simply a means to premiere the Blue Meanie and give Stevie another win under his belt. Pretty so-so, I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. After that, the Eliminators take on the Pitbulls. Now, the Eliminators at this time were pretty new to ECW. I think they had only had a few matches. It was odd to pair them up with the Pitbulls because the Pitbulls were very established as a tag team. I would have built the Eliminators up a little more. I would have probably given them a title reign before I had them take on the Pitbulls. This match was okay. It was pretty much a no-selling match. And what I mean by that is a wrestler will hit another wrestler, and the wrestler that gets hit won't respond. It will be like they didn't feel anything. No-selling is a very rookie move. It's unprofessional, and it just shows that you need more work in the ring. An example of this is at the very end of the match, the Eliminators give their signature move onto the Pitbulls and then leave the ring. And just as they're leaving the ring, the Pitbulls jump up and stare them down. That's no selling. If someone gives you their signature move, you have to react to it. And if that means staying down for like 5 minutes or until they have left the ring or done whatever they need to do, so be it. This match happened way too quickly. Like I said, I would have built it up. It could have been monumental. It could have been two forces colliding together, and it could have stolen the show. Unfortunately, it didn't, and we got a pretty ho-hum match. I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. After that, straight out of AAA Wrestling from Mexico comes Psychosis versus Rey Mysterio Jr. in a Mexican death match. Now, the stipulations are, after a 3 count, the wrestler down has 10 seconds to respond and get up to his feet, or he is declared the loser. This was a pretty good match. Both wrestlers showed their talents for high-flying maneuvers. There wasn't any mat-based wrestling, so it was pretty much just high-flying maneuvers with no setup. They went out into the audience, which was kind of hit or miss with me. I wish they had stayed in the ring. I'm not really a fan of people going out into the audience. But it was a pretty good match, and there's a lot of history between the two wrestlers down in Mexico. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. The next match is stipulation heavy. Sandman and Too Cold Scorpio defend the World Tag Team title, and Scorpio puts up the television title against the Public Enemy, Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge. And whoever gets the pitfall faces the ECW champion, Mikey Whipwreck, later on in the night. The match is okay. There's really nothing that stands out or impresses me. The stipulation just turns me off completely. I'm okay with Scorpio having both a TV title and one half of the Tag Team Championship, but don't put them both on the line in this match. It's just too many stipulations. It was odd that Sandman and Scorpio were a tag team to begin with. Both wrestlers have conflicting styles, and they don't really complement each other very well. It's just a very clash of styles, and I don't understand why they were teamed up. Again, it just didn't feel like a title match, and I really wasn't impressed. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. After that, we get Todd Gordon taking on referee Bill Alfonso. Now, they give a promotional package prior to the match about the lead up to this, and it's not really a match. It's because neither of them are wrestlers, so I'm not going to grade it, but it's a nice little segment that helps Bill Alfonso align himself with Taz. After that, what should be Sandman taking on Mikey Whipwreck for the ECW World Heavyweight title turns into Steve Austin taking on Whipwreck after Austin attacks Sandman as Sandman is coming out in his entrance. Now, if you've seen the Fall of ECW video, you'll recognize this moment where Austin attacks Sandman. It's an alright match. It doesn't feel like a title match. It's probably less than 10 minutes long. Considering who the champion was at the time, I can see why they didn't draw it out. But I like the ending, and it opens up new possibilities for Mikey Whipwreck. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. After that, we have Hack Myers taking on the returning Sabu. This was a brawl, nothing more, and it didn't really work for me because both men were beloved by the fans. So putting them up against each other didn't really make sense. I would have given Sabu some heel to go over. Someone that the audience would really enjoy watching Sabu destroy. Still, it's great to see him back, and he did the first ever Atomic Arabian facebuster in this match, which was really impressive. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. Finally, we come to the main event. Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk take on Raven and Cactus Jack. Now, to say this would be a bloody brawl would be an understatement. I can't think of anyone in this match who didn't get busted open. It was a brawl, nothing more, but it was an entertaining one. And there's a lot of story behind it. Both Terry Funk and Cactus Jack have a lot of history with each other, as do Raven and Dreamer. So it makes sense that both teams would want to team up. One of the better quote-unquote garbage wrestling matches that I've seen in a while. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Overall, ECW's November to Remember 95 is a barely above average show. There's some mildly memorable moments, but none of them happen in a match. ECW Compilist will want this for their collection, but if you're an average wrestling fan, there's really not much here other than the main event that I can recommend checking out. The show had a lot of potential. Unfortunately, it felt like most of the matches were put together at the very last minute, and I felt like some of the matches could have been cut or changed around, improving them. I'm going to give this a very charitable 6 out of 10. Thank you for listening. Please tune in again to another Bastard Review when I review another wrestling DVD in my collection or anything else that crosses my path.